Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we're going to be talking about The Hunt. But before we do, we just want to ask that you subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. We have a lot of great things up ahead, and you want to make sure to subscribe so you can see everything that we do. Okay, so we're going to be talking about The Hunt. This is designed by Matthias Kramer, and it is published by 25th Century Games.
This is essentially a light naval war game taking place during World War II. You've got the British Royal Navy. They've got all their supplies they're trying to deliver. Then you have the German subs trying to sink those freight ships full of supplies. It's asynchronous. It's a two-player only game. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to play. Alright, here's our starting setup for The Hunt. This is basically a naval war game. Over here we have the German side, which consists of the Altmark, a ship that's basically going to kind of be used as a locator. We don't actually use that in the game. And the Admiral Graf Spee, who's going to be kind of a hidden movement submarine under the water. Over here on the British side, we have three forces. One is out there on the board, two more need to come out later, and they're trying to protect a series of these freight vehicles. They're kind of like a pick up and deliver mechanism. They're trying to deliver themselves to these various spots along the board. For instance, over here we have a situation where this is Brazil trying to get to South America, and over here, South Africa, and over here this one is trying to get from South Africa to Great Britain. Both sides are going to get a player aid, which is going to show you how you can use your different action points that you're going to accrue in order to do certain actions. You have some movement, you're going to be able to move around, obviously. You're searching, which is where you kind of basically do your attacks and try to find people. You can move the airplane when you're the German side. You have an airplane that's here to use to modify your die rolls, as well as you can reserve actions as the Germans. You can hold up to 2 actions and save them for the next turn, per turn. The cards themselves are multi-use cards. You can either use them for their text and their action down below here, or you can use them for their action points. You're only going to be able to play 1 card per turn. So maybe you play a card for its ability, or maybe use it for its action points. Again, the action points is how you're going to move, do your searching, that kinds of things. However, some of the special abilities are very tempting and very cool. Sometimes you can only do them during certain parts of the game, like hunts or when you're going to be looking for people. Other cards are there's going to be battle events. That's when you're actually in the middle of a battle trying to sink something. Now, on the German side, when they're moving around, they're not going to be actually having their token on the board. Behind this little kind of shelter here, this little divider, they're going to have a piece of paper and a pencil, and they're going to write their location. So they're going to start maybe at 36, and they're going to go from to 28 or to 21. Whatever the case is, they're going to jot all that down in a notebook. Similarly, the British side also has a player aid. They're going to tell them all their different action points they can spend on different things. And here's the same thing. Their cards are going to have either events they can use or numbers on the side of the card, which are their action points. The stronger cards in the game might say things like remove this card from the game after you use the event portion of it. They also have the ability to be discarded for action points to get extra things. This particular symbol means add to your die roll. So if you can use this card to add to your die roll 2 spots, and this little marker here basically requires your German opponent to put one of these little markers out on the board that says they are adjacent to this marker. So if we're at 28 and we're the German team and we're to force opponents out there, we might put it there as kind of a red herring. It either needs to be adjacent to us or where we are. Using clues like that is going to help the British Navy find the German sub. There are a few different win and loss conditions for each side. So for instance, if the German side is able to sink 5 of the freight ships, they're going to automatically win the game. However, if the British side is able to get 5 of their freight ships delivered to their locations, they're going to win the game. The other way that can happen is if one of the British forces, one of those 3 ships over there, ever is able to search for the the German submarine and find it, and then they're going to go into a battle. What happens in a battle is both players are going to get 5 cards, except now the only thing that matters on those cards is either the battle events or the action points on the card. Both players are going to select 1 card from their hand. They're going to reveal it simultaneously. Whoever has the higher number is going to get one of these markers. And what we're basically trying to do is we're trying to get 3 markers on our side of the board to win. So even though some of those high point cards might be really tempting to play, you might also want to save them in your hand towards the end of the game, so that way you can be prepared in an event of a battle with some high cards in your hand. There also is one final scenario that happens during a battle. If during the 5th card of a battle, or a 5th duel they call it, the German player plays a card called Montevideo, and the English player plays Scuttling into Montevideo, the British player automatically wins the game. So really what happens is the British player has an advantage when it comes to battling. The German player has an advantage when it comes to sinking freighters. So that's kind of the dichotomy of the game. Both players have advantages in different areas. Both players are trying to advance their goals before the other player can finish off their goal.
I felt like this game was pretty easy to learn once you knew the rules, because it's just one thing. You're playing a card. That's it. Like, you're just playing that one card. You're either going to use the card for the text ability, or you're going to use the card for the points, for action points, and that's it. That is the game. That's what you're doing. And so because of that, it was pretty easy to learn it and to understand what I was doing and why I was doing and try to plan ahead and all of that. So it was pretty straightforward.
This is extremely asynchronous, as obviously the real historical battle they're representing is. You have a whole lot of volume of ships on the British side that are all just trying to get delivered. And then you have some forces as well. You have a lot of different kind of those battleships or whatever they are out there trying to hunt down these subs and protect the freight ships. But then you only have one or two boats on the German side, but they are able to be underwater. They're subs. They're hiding. They're shooting out, and they're trying to attack. Everything's very asynchronous. If I feel like there's kind of advantages on both sides and disadvantages on both sides, right? The subs are able to obviously hide a little better. They're able to sink freight ships way better. However, you also have a situation where you get to a battle where one of the British forces meets up with and is able to find the German subs. They are much better at combat, much better at the battling sequence of the game. So you have both things going on. British people are trying to avoid having their stuff getting sunk. Germans are trying to avoid having to enter into a one-on-one battle. So it's very interesting how they both have advantages and disadvantages, and how you want to play this game as both players. You want to play once as the Germans, once as the British. That way you get a full spectrum of how this game works.
So for all of you historical people out there, all of the cards in the game, they have titles, and those cards are referenced in the rule book. They're either real people or real events that happened in this scenario. So that was really cool that they just had that in there. So if you wanted to learn more, you could. If you just wanted to straight play the game, you could do that too. But you could go in and learn more about that as well. So that was kind of neat.
I think that as wargamers typically do want to do that, right? Wargamers like getting into the situation. And this is interesting because it is a war game and it is a naval scenario. But at the same time, it plays so much faster than that. It doesn't feel like a war game where you're literally dealing with every aspect of supplies and troops and all that. It's just a very simple hex-based war game. So I like there is all those historical facts in there, and it is, related to all those things, while still not being getting down to the nitty gritty, where it's like you have to know every little bit of every little thing to make it happen, and it's going to last 8 hours or even 8 weeks, as some war games can tend to do. Literally those big giant scenarios, campaign for North Africa or something like that. No, this is a half an hour. Okay, so now that we've arrived, now that we're here, just want to give a caveat. If you are a war gamer and you like war games, you can just ignore everything I'm about to say right now. It does not apply to you. Okay, I'm not a war gamer. I don't like war games. I don't even like war games light, I've discovered by playing this game. I felt like, and I won every single time we played. That's true. That's actually universally true.
So, and I played both sides. So it wasn't like one side couldn't. It wasn't that. I was playing both sides, and I won regardless. And even still, I felt like I was playing with one hand tied behind my back. I didn't feel like I could do what I wanted. Like, I never felt like I had enough resources, or I had enough time, or I had enough cards. I never felt like I had enough. And not in the sense, there's some games that do that where it encourages you to be really strategic. I didn't have anything to be strategic with. It was a very frustrating gameplay experience for me, even though I kept winning. It was still very frustrating.
I think that this is actually a pretty cool simulation of this particular naval battle. I think that there were some frustration points. There were some times where you couldn't do what you wanted. There were certain turns where you get to a point where it's like, this turn is going to be essentially a waste. I can't move anywhere. I don't have action points to move where I want. I don't have the cards that I need to do to make big plays. I can't get the troops out there I need to do. There's lots of little tiny frustration points, which kind of led to a frustrating game. That being said, that's kind of reality for a war game. You have a limited number of resources, you have a limited number of time, you have a limited number of troops. Whatever the case is, you're trying to make the best situation that you can with that limited amount of resources that you have. So I think in that way, it actually kind of worked, even though from a psychological standpoint, it was like there was frustrations.
Yeah.
It's like it still worked within the confines of what the designed strategy is. So I think if you like those small historical war games. If you like something that has a small time frame, but you're still going to get something that has some cool choices and some because they're just tough choices. Am I going to get gear up for the future? Am I going to make a dash now? Am I going to try to hunt for somebody? I don't even know where they are. It's something you want to check out. This is an interesting game, and especially if you like those lighter war games in a small time frame, check it out.
Also, along those lines, if you like the historical aspect of it, there is a version of the game that isn't balanced, but is more historically accurate.
That's right. They tell you how during the setup, like you need a setup for what we're calling the board game, which is perfectly balanced, or at least within whatever they can do. But then there's also the historical version. It is
balanced. I kept winning regardless.
It's true on either side. But then there's the historical version, which changes the balance to where it's actually more represents what each side had to work with.
Yeah.
Which I think that was a pretty cool kind of twist.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.